better tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Class, front of the class this evening. On this episode of Sabrina Speaks, the conversation continues from yesterday as we take a deeper dive into the realities of workplace bullying. And building on our previous discussion, we examined the hidden cost of toxic work environments, the emotional toll on employees, and the pressing need for inclusive solutions. Though, we want to aim through candid dialogue and community voices, my aim is to also try and unpack how workers everywhere can confront bullying with courage, resilience, and collective action. Now, this episode isn't just about identifying the problem, it's about sparking change, empowering listeners and individuals who may be experiencing this, and building a healthier workplace together. I'm Sabrina, and welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and yes, inspiration takes center stage. The content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and our participants, is intended solely for general, informational, and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. So I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for your specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability on any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. 345-936-8255. That's 345-936-8255 is the number to call to be a part of the discussion. Please don't forget to follow, share, like, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. You know how we do it here on cmrtv.com. There's always stuff for you to be on this new channel as we continue to build and grow our community. But Bush and Bush Tea, hosted by the amazing Nikki Brown, will be airing this evening at 8 o'clock. Are you ready to know? Those stories are really good. And tea, oh my God, make sure your tea is hot. So don't miss it. Make sure you can grab whatever you want for mine, even if it's tea. But definitely tonight at 8 o'clock, grab a hot cup for that one, because that's lining up to be an exciting episode, thanks to Nikki and the great work that she's doing there. Just before showtime, funny enough, I didn't get an image from the Cayman Islands National Weather Service, so I don't have one to put up for you today for tonight's forecast, but I do have the details, because I was out and about for a bit today, and literally, I could see the weather changing. The planes are taking off in the opposite direction, and I literally saw a difference in the choppiness of our waters. So thank you to the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. However, I don't have an image for tonight's forecast, but I do have the information. Rapidly approaching, and trust me, it's rapid, front across Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico, will enter the Northwest Caribbean tonight. Winds will be light and slowly shifting northwest as the pressure gradient remains weak at this time. Overnight, though, a rapid increase in winds and seas is expected with some showers as the front becomes stationary by tomorrow morning. Rough seas and westerly swells are expected from late tonight, and thus a small craft advisory will be in effect. Now, satellite images show numerous layers of clouds across the extreme northwest boundary associated with this shear line. The forecast for tonight calls for cloudy skies with a 40% chance of showers overnight. Temperatures will fall near to the mid 70 degrees Fahrenheit, with winds will be northerly at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet, rapidly building rough to 5 to 7 feet by daybreak tomorrow. Swells are expected along the western coast, and a small craft, again, will be in effect from midnight tonight. As I said, today there will be a high tide at 7:33 this evening. Tomorrow there'll be a low tide at 2:14 a.m. and another high tide at 9:15 a.m. The sun is expected, will set, not expected. The sun will set this evening at 6:07 and sunrise tomorrow at 7:02. The outlook is for a gradual decrease in winds and seas through Saturday afternoon as the associated high pressure system moves into the Atlantic Ocean. Now, scattered to numerous showers are expected from Saturday afternoon as a series of troughs affect the Western Caribbean. The small craft advisory is expected to be discontinued early Saturday morning. So there you have it for the latest. We love those Northwesters. You Caymanian, you love those Northwesters. Oh, yes, you do. We do love them here because we love the change. Oh, let me fix myself here. We love the change in temperatures, definitely. I got some images I got to post up here. And yeah, so there you have it. For all of you guys who are liking to go out there on the seas, make sure you tell your friends we're live. And it's another exciting and engaging and informative Sabrina Speaks right here for you today. Happy birthday to everyone who's celebrating birthdays. Nobody popped up on my timeline. Nope. But you may know somebody who's celebrating a birthday. And for all of you, whether I know you or not, happy birthday, happy anniversary as well. Happy whatever it is you're celebrating. It could be a milestone. It could be a huge accomplishment. It could be sticking to your New Year's resolution. And it's the middle of the month. OMG, can you imagine? We're almost going to be ready for buying all of our supplies for Easter at the rate things are going. But it is the 15th of January. And almost when do you really stop saying Happy New Year? Is it at the end of January? Is it now? No. I think if it's the first time you're seeing somebody for the new year beyond February, you're late. That's me. But Happy New Year. It's the 15th of January. And we're still seeing and having people say Happy New Year. It's a good feeling. Fresh start. But whatever it is you're celebrating today, happy birthday, happy whatever, happy milestone, happy way of life, giving God thanks. And it's good to be back here with you. You can tell I'm back almost to the right self. It takes a lot of energy to just get out of this rut. I know a number of you are out there are under the weather. You got the flu, you got a bad bug. We're hearing COVID is rampant. We're hearing some of the reports out of Jamaica. And, get tested once you're exhibiting flu-like symptoms. Please, please, please do the responsible thing. Don't send your kids to school or daycare. And even you as adults, be careful how you're going out to the store. There's nothing wrong with wearing a mask and making sure that you practice good hand hygiene as well, especially if you're sniffly, just to keep that down. Do your part and be responsible. It's good to have you all here. Harry is first to class. County Bonnie, Harry is beating you. Good evening to you as well. Yep. And Harry's always kicking off. Oh yeah, you waste no time. Damian Henry, welcome. Good evening to you as well. Hi Jay. Hi Oops. And Jimbo is in the house as well as we continue this very fluid, emotive, and thought-provoking is an understatement. I hope that once we get into the crux of today's continued discussions from yesterday's topic of workplace bullying, that it will inspire, it will encourage you all to be more vocal in trusting, one, the system, and two, we know that it can become civil. When bullying even extends beyond the workplace, there are two things, and there are a number of factors that actually plays into it, because sometimes these things can spill outside of the workplace with whatever is happening. And actually, even when you go out to party or you go out with your friends, or simple, even in the grocery stores, some of these things can actually impact your day-to-day life. But whatever you're going through, I'm letting you know, I did get a call last night because of the topic. And it's amazing. Multiple sources are calling me and sharing information. And I'm like, why don't you speak up? And they're like, we can't. And I'm like, why? We will lose our job, or we're going to be bullied outside the workplace. And I'm like, I got an idea then, or a better understanding of why persons don't speak up. And these are not just expats. I got multiple sources from persons who are on work permits, but also, it's amazing, Caymanians as well. So it's not just one-sided, which is why I have to present in an unbiased way and just dealing with the facts, but I also have to protect the identities of some of those. But some of these business establishments, HR, you got some serious problems. Human resources, you got some serious problems. And there's a lot of bullying going on. Sometimes some of the complaints is that HR or the admin is not listening to the staff, or they don't want to come across as being a nag. But you know what? Stick that thought. We got some headlines to cover as well. Lots going on. OMG, like I said, we're not short of content. Anyone says that they're short of content in this space, they ain't telling the truth. They are not. Coming to all of you, just load up. Hey, Miss Lucille, I know the time in the UK, but it's always good to see you popping up there. I'll acknowledge you officially after I get over the headlines. Here today are the top headlines across not only the Cayman Islands, we also go across the pond to the United Kingdom, the wider Caribbean, good old United States of America, ain't short news there. And of course, we go further beyond around the globe. But let's, right here at home, we noticed, if you have been following GIS, the Public Accounts Committee, PAC, held their first of 2 days meetings today, examining the Auditor General's performance report of the 2024 financial audits. I did not get the opportunity, however, to listen into this, but I will definitely catch up a little later tonight and we can break down some of the highlights. But I noticed Ministry of Home Affairs were in the hot seat when I did manage to tune in. But the government has also extended duty concessions as well here in the Cayman Islands for building materials in Cayman Brac and also Grand Cayman, and move sparking debate over who really benefits. Yeah, these are some of the things that are making headlines based on your comments on various articles and stuff. This is what's surfacing to the top that's happening local. As well, we see, meanwhile, opposition members are also calling for clarity on beneficial ownership registers after the UK PM's accused of overseas territory of backsliding on transparency. We did bring a highlight to this in one of our earlier episodes. It is still heavily trending here in the Cayman Islands. So this is something that we've got to keep an eye on. And tomorrow, January 16th, as a gentle reminder, enforcement begins for e-bikes and scooter riders following a month of public education campaigns. We know there's still ongoing debates. And we heard on our earlier show, Sandra this morning, the director of the DMV, that's pretty much, they're not saying a lot. So this is going to be very interesting. And we're going to keep you locked here with how that goes on all of our CMRTV.com channels. Let's turn now to justice news, again, right here in the Cayman Islands. The Director of Public Prosecution, Damian Davis, has issued a stark warning about worrying upward trend in child sexual exploitation cases. Now, speaking at the Grand Court opening ceremony that was held yesterday, Davis said that there has been a noticeable rise in these matters, stressing the urgent need for greater capacity and specially trained Crown counsels to protect vulnerable child witnesses. Now, at the same ceremony, Chief Justice Margaret Ramsey Hill revealed that the summary court saw an 88% increase in criminal cases filed last year, along with a 44% spike in traffic summonses as well. And she also described this as creating significant capacity strains across the criminal justice system. Now, together, these warnings highlight the growing pressure on Cayman's courts and the urgent need to strengthen resources to handle sensitive and complex cases that are just not within the confines of the judiciary, but other government agencies as well. So, yes, there we go. This is definitely a reminder that safeguarding our children in regards to this ensuring justice requires not just awareness, but also action and resources. Let's take a look now at what we're also seeing making news right here in the Cayman Islands in regards to fuel prices. You may have seen an article on our platform, and according to OffReg's latest survey, Caymanians are still paying some of the region's highest fuel costs. Now, premium gasoline is averaging between $5.41 and $5.54 per gallon, while regular gasoline sits just under $5. Diesel remains steady at around $5 per gallon, and prices vary by district, with West Bay stations reporting the highest averages. What we're seeing down there at Four Winds, Hell's premium is $5.54 for regular, at $5.05 to $5.09, and diesel at $5.04 to $5.06. In Georgetown, H&B2 on Shedman Road, premium is going at $5.41 to $5.46, and regular gasoline is from $4.95 to $5, and diesel at H&B2 Shedman Road is $5.01, $5.06. Now, other outlets, some stations closed or reporting limited updates. We know that Mike's off of Walker's Road still remains closed, so we don't have it overall, but that's pretty much the average. But what we're finding is that officials remind customers that these figures reflect only weekly retail services. And as I get the information, my aim here, because we all got to try to cut back and do what we got to do now, we will report this as well. But what we're seeing is with costs holding firm about $5, Caymanians continue to feel the squeeze at the pump. You know what? Sometimes we just say it makes sense to shop around. Others may have the opinion that I'm going to need the gas anyhow, so I'm just going to go to which one is more convenient. But when you're low, you're low. Some say make sure you do all the necessary tests to make sure that your tires have enough air. And some have this thing that they don't make their gas tank go below half. But off-reg updates. We will keep you with all of this data as it comes available because off-reg updates every Tuesday. So we will check once I have the information. I will definitely give it to you. Now, over there in the United Kingdom, because we know we have people from over there as well, they still are being hit by severe weather because that continues. Oh my gosh, with 400-mile blizzard hitting 51 cities and warnings across 20 regions. And there's also news over there that's making headlines of political shakeups are underway as former Minister Robert Jenrick defeats to reform UK, accusing the Conservatives of betrayal. Another one is on the economic front. Borrowing costs have dropped to their lowest level over the year, raising hopes for interest rates cuts over there in the United Kingdom. And in the business, guess what? TGIF Fridays in the United Kingdom has announced closure of 16 of their restaurants, and that will be cutting more than 450 jobs over there. Now let's bring it closer back to home. Good evening, Shaka Zulu. I see you. Across the Caribbean, alarms is spreading after the United States. Again, we've been hearing and constantly more and more information are coming out about the United States suspension on certain visa application, immigration visas for 75 countries. And now we're seeing where that list is yet still not confirmed, but we know for sure, as reported yesterday, Jamaica is on the list. So is Antigua, Barbados, Grenada, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent. But we're still waiting for an official list. I broke that down yesterday for you. But I got some other news that I'll share in another segment for you. Other Caribbean news in the region is that the U.S. military has also seized yet another oil tanker in the region as part of its campaign to restrict Venezuelan exports. Yeah. In other local updates, we see where Jamaica's Defense Force reports a member charged with illegal firearms possession, and St. Lucia is moving to strengthen ease on doing business. And in Guyana, over 2,000 fisherfolk have received $150,000 in grants. Good for those guys. Let's see, closer to us here in the United States. Yes, I see you, Keith. In the United States, tensions with Iran are escalating, and the U.S. has withdrawn personnel from the Middle East based, while Iran temporarily shut down its commercial airspace. Now, new sanctions have imposed on Iranian officials, accusing of repressing protesters. Domestically, today's marks in the United States the final day to select Affordable Care Act plans, and even though its subsidiary negotiations remain unsolved. And for those of you who follow the Wall Street, 1IM Acquisition Corp has closed a $287.5 million IPO on NASDAQ. I know you guys do trading, you know, I don't follow it up, but I just thought I would cover it all for you today. And federal funding, this one kind of got me. Look, federal funding cuts to international food aid are sending shockwaves across the globe. Yeah, federal funding has been cut in the United States, and experts warn the impact wouldn't just be felt today. It will worsen hunger, malnutrition, and food insecurity for decades to come. Now, the world's food supply is at risk, and the consequences could be more devastating. Yeah, so there you go. Those are some of your top headlines for today, based on what we're seeing where algorithms reports, and for January 15th. But I encourage you to keep it right here, because the conversation will continue in regards to continuing onto yesterday's discussion. I needed to share this with you because a lot of us have dual citizenship here in the Cayman Islands. And you may have noticed CMR has ran an article on this, but I thought it was worthwhile explaining to you, not as only a part of the headlines, but just allow me to take a couple minutes to break down this important update for Caymanians with overseas, with UK ties, especially those of us who hold dual citizenship. Now, if you aren't aware, starting on the 25th of February, that's next month, if you are a British citizen, even if you also hold another passport like Irish, EU, or American, you will no longer be able to enter the United Kingdom using only that foreign passport. You must, as of the 25th of February, present your British passport, or in the case of a certificate of entitlement, proving your UK citizenship. Okay? Now, what this means for us here in the Cayman Islands, and allowing me to put it in plain terms, is that if you are Caymanian and also a BOTC citizen with a UK passport, you'll need to travel with that UK passport when you're entering the United Kingdom. Now, if you've been relying on, let's say, an Irish or EU passport to go through faster, that will not work anymore. And airlines may even refuse to board you if you don't have your British passport in hand, okay? So there are some travel implications with this. As we said, it could be denied boarding. Yes, because airlines can refuse you. This is going into effect on the 25th of February. And if a British citizen tries to travel to the UK using a foreign passport. Now, multiple passport presentations, which again, dual citizenships will need to show both. In some cases, some of you have multiple. In practice, the foreign passports for airline check-in or exit from other countries, and the British passport for UK entry. Yes. So even if you hold a EU or Irish passport, dual nationalities must still prove British citizenship when entering the UK. This may set some of you back. We know the cost over there in the UK ranges like in £100. And if you need, let's say, a certificate of entitlement instead, then that is as much as £589. So for us, it's a little different here in the Cayman Islands. And I was having a conversation earlier on, and I think eventually we will probably see, I don't know. I'm saying with all of these changes and multiple travel documents, I think it's only a matter of time that the Cayman passport may be something that is done away with. I can see it becoming one day a reality. And if we're going to remain, then we may just actually have to use the one single document, the UK passport. So for all of you, this is a quick reminder. This is about clarity and control at the UK borders, and the government wants to make sure that British citizens are entering as citizens, not as visitors under the new ESTA system. And for Caymanians, it reminds us that our UK ties come with responsibilities as well as rights. So to me, I always say at the end of the day, just use one document. If you don't know how to use both of them, then just use your dominant one. The Cayman passport is a travel document. It doesn't make you a citizen. And not to by any means dilute that document, but having worked in that industry, like I said, I know it's going to hit hard for a lot of us because of what has been implanted in us for years. And there is something just coveted about that Cayman passport. But I think the real talk will eventually be had one of these days. So my only advice to all of you who are traveling is please check your passport validity now. And if you are a UK dual citizen planning to travel, especially after February 25th, you need to apply for that renewal early, because we can see with these announcements, you know, how the mad rush is to avoid any delays. And please be reminded that you carry both passports now when traveling. Use the foreign passport to exit or enter other countries, but always present your UK passport at UK border controls. That's the key takeaway. Okay, so make sure you get your house in order. Go and check those expiry dates. We don't want any surprises at all. None. So there you have it. If you didn't know, now you know. But there's a story on the CMRTV.com Facebook page as well. And on the CMR channel, if you follow CMR, you can definitely read that article for yourself. 345-936-8255 is the number to call to be a part of this discussion. And welcome to another episode for those of you who are just joining us. And today we will be tackling through this most important issue of bullying in the workplace. And we are continuing the conversation from yesterday. Hey, Donnie, how you doing? Yes. It's good to actually be here see you here today. Miss Lucille, blessings to you, my love, as well. Real Michelle, hello. Another beautiful day. Yes, we're enjoying it right here. Shaka Zulu. It's good to have you here as well. Keith, oh, sorry, missed one. Maybe Mr. Davis means a growing awareness rather than an increase of pedophilia. Maybe, yep. Keith, the cost of living needs to be most important thing the Cayman government needs to work on, because there are Caymanians who are not able to save for a rainy day. That is almost a thing of the past. There's also another article, I think was just posted on CMR I'm quite sure Sandra will be bringing that up tomorrow as well. That just speaks about the cost of deductions and insurance and all that sort of stuff. So you can read that for yourself, that and much more headlines that are making its way today. Barbara G, good evening to you. What does Harry say? The UK keeps cutting international aid as well. It's a law that the UK government must spend 0.7% of the GDP on international aid. Yeah. Harry. Yep. Perhaps teaching our children how to grow food is an idea worth championing. Yeah, I don't see what's wrong with it. If that's cutting, and we understand that funding and those aids is going to have worldwide impacts if it's not reversed quickly. And this is why sustainability is key. When we hear the word sustainability, normally you think of sea level rises. No, sustainability is almost like public health. It stretches the whole bandwidth of all sectors. And when it comes to food and backyard farming, your own backyard gardens and stuff, I've started to do my own little herbs and stuff. And I always thought I didn't have a green thumb. You can't eat periwinkles and you can't eat orchids or impatiens. So your girl is trying her hand at some sweet peppers, some onions. I'm going to try some sweet potatoes and Irish potatoes as well into those 5 bucket. I've been doing these things just to try and help myself. And we just do our little part. Every little bit helps. And you do trade off with other family members. If my family member has plantains or akis and stuff, and I got something, you do those little trades. Look, breadfruit, same thing. Cassava, yam, yeah. That's how we are used to living, though, here in the Caribbean. But I must agree, some of the young children do not understand. They don't know. And the more we can expose them to agriculture, which is coming up here, let's hope that more can take off or sustain into our schools, agriculture and hydroponic way of growing things based on our environment as well has been a big thing for agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture as well. So there's a number of things, but still nothing beats you having a little herb garden or a little ground for yourself if you're able to do that to help yourself. There we go. Vicky Joy, hi, welcome. Yes, say sorry if every country be doing that. Oh, okay. Denver say, I've missed some of this topic. Can a Caymanian with British Caymanian with a British Caymanian passport apply for UK passport? Can a Caymanian apply? I'm trying to Denver to see if a Caymanian can apply for a British passport. The answer is yes. Yes, you can. If you're a born Caymanian, based on your year, a lot of information that is provided with that application is your birth certificate, your parents' birth certificates, and sometimes it goes back as far as asking grandparents' date of birth and that sort of stuff. But it all depends on how you got to be in Caymanian Denver. So it's not just a carte blanche. I'm speaking to you as Denver, a born Caymanian before 1977. Yes, the answer is yes for you. I'm isolating it to you because there are a lot of rabbit holes that you can go to based on how you've acquired Caymanian citizenship, save, or if you were not a generational Caymanian, let's bring it more to reality, your means and ways of applying for a UK passport may change. But answering your question, for you, Denver, the answer would be yes. There we go. Not only in the workplace, there are bullying volunteers. Vicky Joy, it is true. Because I've seen some videos come out of the churches and oh my God. Yeah. Real Michelle said, my lemon tree has its first fruits. Only 2 lemons slowly. I have no luck when it comes to citrus. Every lemon tree I plant or lime tree, she barren. I was told on Good Friday, go and beat it. I sent Eric to do that. She still not do it. She's still angry at me. I don't know what's wrong. I just don't have no luck with citrus. I don't. Wake up, Cayman Islands. Of course, you can eat periwinkle. For true? I didn't know. Let me Google that. That only thing that really used to actually do well with me. But now I'm finding out I have a green thumb. Wake up. Yes, now I'm finding out I have a green thumb. Yeah. Jimbo says, many parents don't even know how to grow food. There should be courses implemented back into part of education with horticulture and other means of basic life needs. Now, Jimbo, I know that there was hydroponic farming that was introduced in the schools back when I was an elected member of parliament. I don't know of its continuity, but I do agree with you that be it one of the nonprofit organizations or something, I know we have very active Minister of Agriculture and ideas, the man is for it. I got to give credit where it's due. Maybe this is something that could be offered on a wider scale to have more independent persons who are interested in backyard farming. You give them ideas and stuff, show them how you can do simple things. I know I pull up a lot of stuff on Facebook and YouTube, how you can go stuff into a 5-gallon bucket, how you can even provide and form your own little fertilizer with sugar and milk and different little things, how you can remove pests from your leaves, how you can increase photosynthesis by simple taking a microfiber cloth and wiping the leaves on these things. Yeah, your girl went from running from frogs to now you can't touch me. I'm trying the thing. I planted some Scotch bonnet seeds. I got some seeds from the Brack over the Christmas, not Scotch bonnet, seasoned peppers. And I was so happy the other day in a simple little cup. I got 2 little buds come up. I was so happy. And now I'm making sure they're like really, really, really young and very fragile right now. But my fingers are crossed that they will catch. And hopefully by Christmas, God's for life, I will have my own seasoned peppers that I can share around with my family. Yeah, that's the aim. That is what I'm praying. And then, there we go. What do I think of trade unions? It has been questioned here. We don't have them here in the Cayman Islands, Harry, but definitely it has made its way in conversations as well. Like I said, we got a lot of maturity to do. We would need legislation, OMG. What I think about it at national is 2 different things. Trust me, Harry, trust me. Periwinkle is made in a tea and given to children to boost memory. Well, crazy, I need that. I thank you so much. I need all the help I can get with the memory. Real Michelle, I've heard urine is particularly helpful for citrus trees. What kind and from who? Goat? What kind? Oh, Michelle, I gotta dig that one up. Oh no. And then you could my mind has gone someplace else. But yeah. Vicky Joy. Trim, I guess this is trim the lime tree. You will cut her down with a chop, and then you'll see the blossom on. For true. Okay. I was told to beat it. I set Eric out to do that job, but I guess he wasn't angry enough. And she's not behaving at all. Talk to your plants. Oh yeah, I talked to them. Oh, they ain't short of that. Oh God. They ain't short of the talking. Well, let's get into it. I'm loving the feedback here, but I'm hoping it will inspire some of you, probably give some of you a little chuckle as well. But yeah, Jim says periwinkle is toxic, poisonous if ingested. I guess it all depends on which one. Don't worry, Jimbo. I'm not going to go to drink the one that I have, to be honest with you. I really just love to see them because they're the only ones that really don't go on me very quickly. They last long. Marshall, it's good to have you here. Yeah. In regards to trade unions, Harry says, so is it legal thing that you don't have trade unions, or is it people don't join? We don't have them here. We do not have trade unions. We have no legislations around it here. We don't. We don't. Spider mites is my biggest trouble. Yeah, I've been reading up on those as well. And there's a little card that you can stick into your pot and they actually adhere to it as well. Got to be careful with that. ZZ plant do well with me as well. And have you seen a black ZZ? What a beautiful, 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 beautiful tree. The black ZZ. Beautiful. And the peace lily as well. I do pretty well with the peace lily. Yeah. So there we go. Like I said, let's continue into the conversation in regards to this bullying thing. I got a call last night from a young person who the show resonated well. It hit home to the point that they were moved to give me a call. I was able to entertain the call and hear them out. What they were experiencing at home, which goes into why sometimes employees are fearful of even going to the administrative arm, because in everything that was going on, the employee was aware that there are some struggles as even business owners that they go through, and they didn't want to come across as being a nag, to the point that they were even questioning if something was wrong with them. When I got the entire story, and I have to protect the identity of the individual, they are front facing in a very busy store. And what has happened is that they're feeling that a particular nationality is coming very hard at them. I allowed the individual to speak, and they were calling them names, calling them stupid, from sweeping the floor to doing everything just to fit in. This Caymanian young lady actually did. But the more they did their job, the more they showed up for work, is the more the pressure. It's almost like they were cornered and had them doubting themselves. Now, what was interesting is that it was only one particular nationality, despite there being different nationalities in this organization working. There was only one dominant nationality came at the individual. And one of the things that came about is that their fear, with all of the immigration reform that is going on, is that there was a possibility that this Caymanian applied who is only there because no one else wants them, would possibly take their job. And after hearing the story, it came down to one conclusion, amongst other stories that were shared with me last night, that there was a possibility that what we're seeing coming up in the workplace against some locals, frustrating them to leave, is for fear of them having to return back to their own country because they were replaced by a Caymanian. The takeaway from this story is that the Caymanians are becoming frustrated, and they are more inclined to just go home and blame themselves for being a failure, which does not help. Now, this is not a one-sided conversation, because, like I said, I got another story as well, where on the flip side of a big organization, the one who is doing the bullying, or who is doing the bullying, is a Caymanian national. And it appears that even superiors in the other story, managers, supervisors, are scared to even go to their superiors, which is showing that there is a fundamental issue going on in these organizations. What do you do? And the question comes back up again. When employees removing immigration status is fearful of defending themselves in the workplace, because we're seeing that grievances are actually spilling over into outside. Even fear of ganging up, fear of sending friends at them. And it is just workplace bullying. Like I said, I'm removing the nationality for this part of it, out of it. And that is some of the fear that it could escalate into somewhat of a civil matter because both Caymanians and expatriates need their jobs. But the disgruntled undercurrents, subtle bullying within the workplace, many of it is going unnoticed by head HR officials in big organizations. And if some of the organizations do not actually take these things into hand, there could be some altercations that could easily be nipped in the bud if there wasn't an environment of fair. If there wasn't an environment of, it appears as though in one case, HR is fearful of the Caymanian. In another case, HR is unaware of what's happening because it is just isolated into one nationality. So HR is not even aware in the other organization what the Caymanian is going through because they are fairly new in the position. Caymanians are branded with not being reliable in some cases, not showing up for work, and that is not the case in this particular incident that was shared with me last night. And then on the other hand, where the Caymanian now is almost weaponizing one's nationality and playing the victim when they're actually the bully, but they will never see the entire story because those who are being bullied, some have lost their jobs because of what appears to be fair of this Caymanian, who is actually the bully. What do you do in situations like this to encourage persons who reach out to you to just find the strength and stand? I ask the question. If you don't stand for yourself, speaking about it on outlets like this and platforms like this, how far will it go? Because at some point you still have to protect you because you need your job. And amazingly, one of the responses were, eventually the bullies will know that people are talking and eventually they will be exposed. They will be exposed. And it woke me up because I then saw it from a different perspective. But human resources needs to be a bit more open. You need to create that environment where your staff is more trusting of you. But what happens when those staff members are in one particular case fearful of the Caymanian because of the current environment that we have here in the Cayman Islands? It doesn't give them the right to weaponize it because it's not a reflection of Cayman. It's not a reflection of every Caymanian. And the sad part is, in this establishment, the biggest establishment, is that there are Caymanians there who have honestly disassociated themselves with the bully, and there too are Caymanians. But what they have done, they became a master of playing the victim. And because of fear of possibly not getting work permits approved, you don't know if they have friends in immigration, is what is alleged. Even seniors are somewhat fearful. How do you deal with this and lives in the workplace? It's creating a toxic environment. People are being accused wrongfully. They're fearful of even standing up for themselves because of a pattern. Because of a pattern. Human resources, you need to have staff meetings. You need to create that environment where your staff do not feel as though they will be victimized for speaking up and pointing out flaws, be it amounts, their own peers or otherwise. Because what you're going to have is reputational damage. And there's only going to be a matter of time, which would not be fair to your establishments, that you're called out. I think a lot of the human resources managers are not really in tune with what's happening on the ground amongst their staff. And it's very easy to find out that something is up, because you can go on social media and find everything else when you don't want to hire someone. There are lots of things out there. I am imploring those persons who are the victims of bullying to speak up. I implore you to speak out. I know that you are fearful of possibly sides being chosen, but eventually the truth will come out. I'm not living I'm not in your shoe, but what I know, that silence is not going to solve the issues either. When you have Caymanians in the workplace having to possibly seek counseling, and other nationality, because of fearful of speaking out for what's happening, whether they're being blocked from a promotion, whether they are being silently taken advantage of, that does not show a good reflection on who we are as a Cayman Islands. And there are resources and there are government departments out there that can handle these situations. And I'm speaking more in the private sector, because the calls that I received were not government. And I know I've gotten some complaints as well. It's happening in government as well. But most of what I'm speaking about in the two cases are in the private sector. And I am fearful that in one particular organization, there's going to possibly be maybe a fight, if not multiple fights. And it would be a sad indictment if the one who's causing the problem ends up standing because you have not taken the time to create an environment that is conducive, that is friendly, free, and open, that your staff feels safe in speaking to you, and that's when you will know the truth. The purpose of shining a light on this topic is not to take food out of anybody's mouth, but when you're using a current system to weaponize, to embolden yourself, when that is not the truth, 100% of the truth, we have a problem. And it's only a matter of time before you're going to be exposed. The pity and the sorry that you're looking for, this is the wrong way to get it. And you cannot continue down this road. There are ways of resolving issues, but there are also reputational damage to the organization to which you're working. And Cayman is small. It's only a matter of time. What I'm getting is persons are not fearful of these individuals that are bullying. They're not fearful. They need their jobs just as much as the bully needs theirs. What we don't want is that immigration is used as a tool, or whatever connections or relationships that you have between Labor Board and immigration to use to bully foreign workers and your foreign counterparts, your co-workers. That is not what they're there for. They're there to investigate and to make sure that everything is within practice and in accordance to law. But human resources, you got a lot of work to do. And I am speaking to all of the staff and individuals who have called me. You need to go and report these things to your managers, because the problems that you're having is not your manager. And if they're not aware, they cannot help you. There's strength in numbers. And the allegations and the assertions that are being placed in the public's domain, if you do not do the same thing in numbers and with a calm head, it will not solve the problem. It will continue. We do not want to take sides. But when you're going to use certain platform, certain connections to actually create havoc that is not born 100% on the truth, you have to stand and defend your own self at some point. I am saying there are resources out there, but you have more power than you think. But if your bosses don't know, they cannot help you. Okay? There are lots of bullying going on, bullying to the utmost, where lies are being told, allegations are being made, and you can't beat up an organization if you're not reporting it. And like I said, it spills out even if you go out to a public gathering or you may go out to an event. That's when you go to the police, because that's harassment. But if it's born in a work environment, you have to build a story. And let me tell you what information I just shared there as to how you deal with it can work for the bully, and it can also work for the victim. This is why you need the mediator, and you have to have your facts in a row. You have to have everything in chronological order in order for you to get help. But remaining silent because you're not from here, and this one got papers, and that one got papers, and this one I got no papers, and oh, I might as well just go home because I can't. No, when it gets to the point that you're even questioning your own mental health because you remain silent, who can you blame for that? You can't blame the organization if they're not aware. Let me go to some of the comments. Keith, the banks in Cayman Islands have more power than the elected official. A Caymanian young woman was fired because she was told not to talk. Caymanian at the hotel where she was working. A Caymanian woman was fired because she was told not to talk. What was the problem, Keith? Because I'm seeing that there are a number of serious issues happening in the hospitality industry that is going unchecked. And let me tell you something, because it's a majority of them are expatriate workers, it's happening amongst themselves. And the few Caymanians that are there, in certain cases, for the most part, they're okay. But it's one particular company. There's one particular organization where there's really only one person right now that's making a lot of problems. That's unfortunately Caymanian. And this is by no means trying to get the individual fired, but they need to speak the truth. Because if it was a case where that organization removed every foreign expatriate worker from there, even the Caymanians would not have a job because the hotel would have to close down. So when certain things and certain patterns actually happen, and one particular individual is in the center of everything, you need to kind of look at the individual, because it has to all make sense at the end of the day. Jimbo says, people forget from where they came from, the opportunities provided to them. This is quite typical here, and it's most unfortunate. Both sides, all nationalities, need to learn to humble themselves. Yes, I agree with you, Jim. And this is why I'm saying you have to remove, in some cases, immigration status and nationalities when it comes to both, because I have it from both sides. I have where the Caymanian is the victim, being bullied by expatriates because they're fighting for position. And then I have on the other part where the Caymanian is weaponizing their nationality and just creating a toxic environment in the workplace. So it's not like it's only one coming after the other. It's all around, and we have to coexist. But when you have an organization where staff, even superiors, because of outcomes involving this Caymanian, they're fearful of reporting because it's like nothing is going to be done. Nothing is going to be done. Is that fair? Do you think that's fair for the morale and for the environment to which people are working in? Wake Up Cayman says, Jim Norris, I took it and I'm still here. Oh, okay. This is about the periwinkle. Do more research. Real stuff from Jamaica. Okay. The Real Michelle. There needs to be a strong whistleblower laws which will protect the ones who expose bullying. It is tough to report fraud, for example, when the manager or leader of a department is the perpetrator. In this case, I think it's the HR that is missing serious signals. Their human resources department is just not aware of reality is what's coming. And what's happening is when they're having staff meetings, staff are fearful of speaking up. They're very fearful of speaking up because, like I said, these altercations, these confrontations are extended outside the workplace. It continues outside. And guess what happened? Even when you're on duty, you're representing that organization. Off duty, you're also representing that organization. You may say, okay, I'm on my own time, to heck with you. This is my business. I do what I want. I party how I want. I do what I want. I get wasted. I do this. I do that. You are still a representative of the organization for which you wear the uniform for. Jim says, HR is for the business itself, not for the employees, and everyone needs to understand this. That is changing, Jimbo, because even with the new generation, the Gen Z and all the different gens, we're seeing where even how you conflict resolute is different. Human resources has changed. It is changing. It continues to change as we see the younger generation getting into the workplace, how they view work and all this sort of stuff. And you see the power of social media. If you don't get ahead of these things, it's the first one or the loudest one that will get the attention. And not all the time that is the right. Not all the time that is the facts. So I think damage control needs to be a little swifter in many organizations. And don't you take anything for granted. But HR and becoming HR professionals or in the world of HR is not what it used to be. And it's evolving. It's evolving. And you have all of these different human rights and all of these different things. Now, it is just totally different. Harry says, my connection is terrible, so I'm going to go. Oh, okay. No problem. Sprata 8587. When we talk about the self, we usually mean our mind, but we can observe our thoughts, and you cannot be something that you can observe, because the observer and the observed are not the same. The observer and the observed are not the same. I kind of get where you're going with that, but I'd have to see at what point you made that statement to see where it connected with what I was saying, because I was on a roll there. Real Michelle said, there is so much strength when you stand in the truth. Patients will soon see what was hidden be brought to light. But at the end of the day, Michelle, in this particular case, because there are a lot of foreign workers who depend on their livelihoods from some of these organizations, and they will tolerate stuff. You see, people are stressed out. You're hearing persons even has gone as far, God forbid, to commit suicide. The stories are yet to be told. We hope that that is not the case that will ultimately end up with one of these establishments, but it's that toxic. It is that bad. And I feel that there is a resolution, but the HR professionals of that establishment must create that environment that their staff feel openness in order to speak. Otherwise, a lot of things is going to be lost. Denver says, there are a lot of news carriers, snitches of foreign nationals and companies trying to uplift themselves to better positions by doing such to Caymanians and others in the workplace. They will record people and take pictures, carry back this information to managers, and it is of little stupid things, but they are the ones that such managers listen to, right or wrong. Hopes this makes sense. Full sense. And in one of the organizations that I'm talking about, Denver, which was a call I received last night, that is exactly what's happening. One of the individuals that is actually bullying the Caymanian is vying for a supervisor's position. And they're doing everything to frustrate the individual and even to get persons out of an environment, they were moved to another location. But yet they have networks and there's friends of friends and friends of friends, and the same thing continues. So it's almost like you're running away, you're being placed at another location, but it still follows you because it's a network. It is a network of them. And in this particular case, the call that I got last night, that's what's happening to this Caymanian. Keith Art, it's better to speak up than to take matters into your own hands. But what happens when the person's taking matters into their own hands, ends up, who is the victim, ends up being the one who is being labeled as a troublemaker, when in fact they were just defending themselves, which is why speaking up, I agree with you, helps, but they're not doing anything. A lot of people may feel that spaces like this and going viral actually solves problems. There are just certain things that we cannot even report because it's not helping the situation. I would prefer to guide you, to say, look, try this way, go that way. You know how much calls I get about what's functions in various departments and how they're trying to get through and get service and they can't get it. And before actually coming here and blasting, I actually try my best to connect them onto individuals before going, because it's not solving the problem. Now, if it continues, which is what I'm saying, it's only a matter of time, because the bullies, in some cases, the poor working policies, eventually those organizations will be exposed if they don't get their house in order, or if individuals don't curb their behavior. Because the saying goes, when you point one finger, look how much is pointing back at you. Okay? Yes. Real Michelle, class action looming. Mark my words. And Real Michelle said, thank you. He says, a Caymanian that has a family with children and are being bullied at work in their own country will get very serious about that. A Caymanian that has family with children and being bullied at work in their own country will get very serious about that. Yes, they will. But a lot of those Caymanians as well, Keith, remain silent because they're realizing and they're feeling as though their backs are against the wall. And only then, because they're outnumbered, we know population-wise that Caymanians are outnumbered in our own country. And we have heard, based on stories even shared here with us, that even when superiors are Caymanians, and the facts is there, the truth is there, they often side with the foreigners. That is what we have heard shared on this platform over and over and over again. So hence me saying the environment from the human resources perspective needs to be one that person can feel as though they're protected, that their situation will be properly investigated before they're the ones that are left without a job when in fact they were not the problem. And then what you think happens when the other staff around sees the example, one that was made an example of, and the bully still remains intact? What do you think happens? You're running an organization and you have no clue what's happening with your own mental well-being of your staff. And that's what's happening in a number of organizations right here. Right here. On the flip side now, there are also some organizations who are indeed employers taking advantage of the fact that you have expatriate workers working for them. And yes, life here is better. And they're taking advantage of them. They're making them pay their own work permits. They're making them, oh my God, but now that the work permit fees are up, you have had certain persons and individuals who have made the decision to go back to their country of origin. So guess what? On one hand, it's working because who was paying for their work permit all along? They were paying for their own work permits all along. And guess what's happening? Because the heightened work permit fees, they've made the decision to go back home. They would never go and report for years because they're equally responsible. But now that these fees have been increased and employers have gotten away with having employees pay for their own work permits, and the employees are saying the mathin', I can't be paying these non-refundable fees that should be paid for by my employer, plus pay my own pension and pay my own medical and pay my rent and try to send stuff home for my family. It doesn't worth it. And what is out there and some shared stories that have been shared with me is that they have made the decision to actually leave and not renew their work permits. Or upon completion of these work permits, they have made the decision not to renew because they have been the ones saddled with paying their work permit fees. There have been cases as well where they have been paying trade and business license fees in order to even get their work permit submitted in a timely fashion. And these unscrupulous employers continue to get away with it. And what we're seeing and hearing is that there have been certain meetings now that have been had since the public knowledge of increased fees. And pretty much staff are being told, well, somebody got to pay. You want to work? You help me, I help you. Now, is that good enough for upholding our laws? At the end of the day, you cannot blame the gatekeepers, the officers at the Department of Labor and Pensions, where you go to make these reports of unscrupulous acts. You cannot hold them responsible if they're unaware, if people fail to go and report it. But Jim himself has said he has gone through that system and he was not at all impressed. Well, I can tell you what, I will be attending a workshop at the DLP on the 22nd so that I can be informed, and there will be a series of these meetings at the DLP that they will be having. And the first one is going to be on the 22nd of this month from 9 until 1. I think it is. Yes. From 9 until 1. I'm going to try and get it here for you. This is a shameless plug for this department. But because it aligns with exactly what I'm telling you, it is important that I share this with you. Let me add this here. There you go. There is a Labor Act training of 2026 that is scheduled where you learn about the Labor Act of 2022. And this includes the roles, responsibilities, entitlements, and proper procedures. So y'all asking, where do I go? Who can I trust? They are having a series of these meetings. And the first one is on the 22nd of January. The next one is on the 12th of March. Then the 14th of May, 16th of July, and the 12th of November. So you have it. The location will be at the Intergenerational Hub that is across from the airport post office, you know, where the park is right there behind Foster's. And it starts from 9 until 1. Now, you have the contact details. There's an email at the DLP@gov, and there's also a registration form as well for you. So this is for those persons. I feel this is great. This is great because it actually gives you the information, and you're no longer left in the dark. So I want to encourage persons to, however they're promoting this, to go on the DLP's, either Facebook or whatever thing, and see it for yourself. I'm just posting it here because I'm telling you I'm going to it. I'm going to go to it. So I hope that they do some more PR on this, however they're going to get it out there and let people know. And if they have already done so, I take it back. But here you have it on the Sabrina Speaks. And this is free advertisement for that department. Yep, for this training. So I'd be in a better position to see exactly from their perspective exactly what this is and who it's catering to, who it's targeting to, and I'll get some more information as well. All right, for you. Jim says, some companies use HR complaints as the employee being a problem. It is essential as an employed person within any company, in any position, to keep accurate records, dates, times, persons involved, etc. So if it goes past the management, owners, and human resources and need to take it a step further, you have the documentation. But when you're even fearful of speaking, Jim, you don't even want to go to your supervisor. That's even worse. Damian Henry says, bullies are often insecure individuals with low self-esteem and confidence who project their personal struggles onto others to feel a sense of control or validation. Stand up to them and they pretend to be the victim. Well, we've got a case that's playing its way out right now in real time. Denver Douglas says, trust me, these companies rarely will listen to the Caymanians or Caymanian status holders. Well, that's becoming very obvious, Denver. Keith says, provoke your child not to anger because you will reap what you sow. Only a matter of time, Keith, that this may actually come to head. Real Michelle says, victims call the police and an ambulance is sent because of false report regarding mental health. Stops all further reports to police. The tactic to grab beneficial property with fake power of attorney. Denver says, exactly. The Real Michelle says, a failure to report can and is costing lives. Vicky Joy says, I'm so happy. I'm proud domestic helper, but I know that no one will ever try bullying me nowhere because I know Fairbanks would be getting an extra female. Bullies are cowards. There you go, Vicky Joy. Be proud of what you do. It's an honest living. Real Michelle said, do you think HR should outsource in order to ensure impartiality? If that is an option, I think so, because if that is the case, and maybe that is why some of the cases are going unchecked, because they can't be impartial. It's hard. I think maybe that may be a case, but then would that show somewhat a weakness in their capabilities? Because HR should come with those. They should be in a position where they can see both sides and not be judgmental. It's different, I tell you. Jim Norris says, HR will change here when the laws change for employee rights. Oh, yeah. Which is what I'm telling you. The entire industry of human resources is changing. That is changing almost daily. And once we see human rights and all of the different laws and freedom of expression, and we're seeing and people are educating themselves and you're reading your policies, that's another thing for human resources to do in any organization. You should constantly update your policy records, because as laws change, so should you update your manuals and policies as well, so that it's current, and show from when these amendments were made. And of course, if it impacts any current contractual agreements, then of course, just like the laws, you have a grandfather's clause and you have a transitional clause built in as well. But the key is, I'm feeling, Jimbo, is that they're not creating an environment where their staff can actually feel protected and safe going in and reporting some of the unscrupulous behaviors of their staff members who are taking advantage of situations, but they're doing it in the most stubble way. They're doing it in the most secret, bullying, mental draining way. And then they're coming out as though they're the victims when they're actually inflicting the pain. The real Michelle Teresa says, it is the case. They robbed me of my livelihood despite the existence of my trust fund. Denver Douglas says, those foreigners are networking. Exactly. They have brothers, sisters, uncles, cousins, and good friends working here. And trust me, Denver, if we as Caymanians would stick together, maybe things would be a little bit better, but it's also about being fair. Because just how you have good and bad in other nationalities, we're seeing some questionable behavior from some of our very own as well. I'm being very honest. And that is not only from employers, because we've spoken about the unscrupulous employers and what they're doing, extorting their foreign workers. And the main reason I am being told that many more do not call is because they're fearful of losing their jobs. It rubbed me in such a wrong way that I had to honestly just exhale a number of times with the amount of calls that I got between last night and during today, because I was getting a bit frustrated. Why aren't you willing to call? It's like, okay, fine. I will bring it up as a topic, but how far will it go? Because some of them, based on the information, I have to protect their identity, but I have to bring these cases out in the light to let them know. I will try again to reach one of the organizations tomorrow, HR manager. I tried today and was unsuccessful without calling names of individuals, but to bring it to their attention. They're having some serious issues that I'm just putting them on notice, not to slander them. They need to pay attention to what's happening amongst their staff. And if it continues, I will then put it in writing. And if it continues, then I will go ham, meaning they will be exposed. That's how I believe in certain things. Okay? But some of these stories may actually make it on other platforms and they go ham on it before. Okay? But the focus is what's really happening right now in the private sector. It's becoming so bad, so bad, that staff are actually not even wanting to go to work. But they know they have to make a living. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Yes. Status holders. Hold on a second. People are saying there's no sound from you. Hold on. Let me just reconnect you. Okay, go ahead. Are you hearing him now? Yes, keep talking. I will wait for their feedback to see if they're hearing you now. I just replugged it in. Are you hearing me now? Give me a thumbs up. Otherwise, I'll call you back, caller. They're saying that they can't hear the caller. Go ahead. No, let me call you. Let me call you back. Still no sound. They're saying. Let me call you back. Okay. I'm gonna call him back. Let's see. Sorry about that. Thank you. That's why I like to keep up here. Yeah, can't hear on Facebook. I'm trying to get it resolved. So let's see. Hello. Let me know if you're hearing. Jimbo, tell me if you're hearing him now. Just give me a thumbs up if you're hearing him now. I called him back. I'm just waiting for the feedback. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Still nothing. They're saying still nothing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. They're saying nope, nope, nope. Yeah, do that. Nope, they're still not hearing you. I don't know what's happening. My apologies, guys. There we go. All of them are on, so I don't know. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm hoping they're hearing you now. Mr. Samamba, nobody's hearing you. I don't know what's happening. To be honest, this is horrible. I don't know if I would have to restart. 10 minutes and see if we'll get a bit of luck. I don't know what's going on because everything is pointing as being on. So yeah, let's see what's going on. Yeah, my apologies for that. I don't know what's going on with the phones today, but let me try them again. Let's go. Oof, that's weird. Because normally we don't have a problem. Let's hope you're hearing them now. Hi, are you hearing him now? Yes, speak, go ahead talking, and I guess they will tell me whether or not they're hearing you. Go ahead, start it again. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me now? Okay. Okay, Jimbo, are you hearing him now? Oh, this is crazy. I don't know what's going on, but go ahead. Let's see, and then I'll wait because sometimes there's a delay in the feedback. My apologies for the interruption. Mr. Samamba, sorry, sir. They're still not having you. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. And everything on my end is saying you're live. So I don't know. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, thank you. My apologies for that. I don't know what's happening with that, but everything on my end is saying my cables are fine. I got them all in. So not so sure what's happening there. But everything here is connected. Yep. Everything is connected, so I'm not so sure. The input volume, all of them are there. All of my volumes are to the max, like really to the max. Everything is to the max. Sometimes what we have to do is to really do a shutdown and start all over again. Maybe that's one of them. It happens. Maybe the phone had an update and it's not connecting. But from my end, I don't know what's happened. My humble apologies for whatever the heck is going on there with that caller. The equalizer, everything is up to the max. Everything is just there. So I'm not sure what's happening. Nope. I don't know. Nope, my sound is not on mute. Are you hearing me though? People are hearing me, right? You guys are hearing me? Yeah. So it's just the caller that I'm not having. My humble apologies there. Yeah. My sound is, yep, my sound is fine. And everything else on the board for me is okay. Yeah. So I don't know. It's honestly just him. So I don't know what's going on. I have to restart after we got half hour left, but yeah, there we go. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Mr. Samamba always have excellent information to share. Inputs are just doing fine. I don't know. I'll have to reboot the whole thing tonight and hope that it works. And tomorrow is Friday. What we're going to do is weekend review and open mic Fridays moving forward. And we have some sponsors that will be coming on for next month. So we are going to be having a schedule, but you can always book or look forward to Friday being a weekend review, latest updates, and open mic. Hey, Jimbo. Connie, can you hear Jim? Connie Bonnie, just tell me if you can hear Jimbo. I'm waiting for her feedback because you're hearing me fine, right? It's just the callers that you're not hearing. Yeah. No, but I'm not getting any responses. If you're hearing Jim, no. So I have to reboot. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to have to reboot, but it doesn't make sense. So I can't take any calls today. Sorry about that. All right, my love. Thanks. Yeah. Bye-bye. We got less than half hour to go, so please bear with me. My humble apologies for that. We are reading your comments here online. So I'm going to make sure that I reboot the entire system. Yes, thank you. It's whatever is happening with the calls. Maybe there's an update of the board that I need to update, and that's what's causing the problem. But everything is connected quite nicely here. So I don't know what's going on. So I'll have to do, I don't know. It's just the calls. The last time that happened to Sandra and we didn't have the darn thing plugged in, but it's plugged in. So I did all of that good stuff. But yes, going back to the topic at hand, it's unfortunate that we are having all of these things. And I was looking at your comments and just trying to address all of them. And you're seeing where we're having these happening in our community. And I'm hoping that persons will be empowered and inspired to actually just get help. And I welcome the feedback, but unfortunately we can't hear him because it dovetails and ties into exactly what we were saying. Danny, I'm not hearing, nobody's going to hear you. And I'm going to have to restart because everything is connected. It's only me one hearing you. Thank you so much, because Jim had called too. People are saying they can only hear me. Yeah, so I think I'm going to have to restart because I connected. Everything is connected like the last time it wasn't. Yeah, everything is to the top. Up to the max. That was one of the things that I did while Mr. Samamba was live. Everything is up to the max. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what had happened the last time. It wasn't plugged in. No, man, you plug in. No, that was the first thing that I checked. That was the first thing. That was the mistake that Sandra and I made the last time. No, man, she's plugged in. She's plugged in. Yeah. I just think maybe the board needs an update because I think Sandra was having some problems too, and she had to update her board. Something is low. But everything is plugged in. Something is low, she says, but everything is plugged in, and I don't know what's going on. It's weird. No, I only gotten the headphones that is attached straight to the StreamYard board, and then I'm using the mic that's also connected, but the phone now is connected to the board, and that's how people can hear when callers call. So I'm going to double check the headphones volumes. Yeah, it's almost done. So my humble apologies. I'm wrapping up this conversation anyhow. But thank you so much. I'll restart everything tonight anyhow. There you go. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so happy for my behind the scenes tech team, but we still can't get it sorted. What a mess. That's what happens when you go live. We don't have the luxury of cutting it and correcting, making it look like it's flawless. Unfortunately, sorry about that. Oh Lord. Yeah, here we go. Wake up, Cayman. Cayman is the only place where I see foreigners use their job to become celebrities. Here in the United Kingdom, no one really cares about a position. Cleaners and management are equally. Yeah. I think that's one of the disadvantage Wake Up Cayman Islands that we have as a small island development state. And we will see this continue, but which goes into what I'm saying about their strength in numbers. People need to be emboldened. They need to be empowered. And unscrupulous employers, bad behaving employees who weaponize their nationality and play the victim just needs to be called out for what it is. And like I said, once you put them in their place, you'd be surprised how some of these bullies will actually just become some of the nicest people. Yeah. So I'm hoping that putting a spotlight on these obvious issues that will lead to some positive outcomes and resolutions. And then these conversations will probably, hopefully, one day be a thing of the past. Jim says, I think Caymanians are getting to a point of being sick and tired, similar to what I said last night when I called in. To many coming in, taking over, getting papers, big egos, and treating Caymanians as second class in their own country. Jim, it is to a boiling point. And at the end of the day, you can only take so much and no more. And I'm fearful that it will end up not very good, which is why I'm appealing to anybody working in human resources to just be more alert with what's happening on the ground. I want our HR people to just be a little bit more alert. Yeah, so at the end of the day, I think we have a lot of work to do and a lot of cleaning up to do as well in regards to how we deal with some of these situations and cases. And that's the only how that we will actually, Connie, you said backup now? What was backup? Were you hearing Denny? Interesting. Connie, were you hearing Denny? Denver Douglas says HR are mostly foreigners. And Connie, if you were hearing Denny, let me know, because that meant then that I could probably call back Mr. Balika. You said back up now. So I'm wondering if you were hearing Denny or were you hearing Mr. Balika? Connie Bonnie. Let's try it again. Let's try it. Where's Denny? Let me call Denny. Foreigners versus Caymanians. Foreigners versus Caymanians is divisive. Would it? Oh, Jim was saying no. I was just trying something. Connie had said it's back up now, but I was just trying you back to make sure to see if she was talking about whether. Oh, okay. No, it wasn't. Sorry. All right, cool. Yeah, I think it's probably the board, to be honest. We couldn't hear Denny either. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm just going to have to shut it all down, to be honest. But yeah, I'm feeling, going back to some of these comments here, foreigners versus Caymanian is divisive. Would it be better to focus on good human behavior versus bad? Yes, you're quite right. That's the aim. Because one thing we have recognized is that this thing of them or Anna against us is not going to go away anytime soon. And the reason why I use that so broadly is because even the very minister himself has says that work permits, the demand for work permits is not going away in the quantities anytime soon. Based on the amount of resorts that are being opened, the demand in special services and stuff that we adequately do not have sufficient Caymanians that are able to fill them at the end of the day, it's going to continue. What we need to do is exactly what you said, Real Michelle. Foreigners versus Caymanians is divisive. That needs to go away. Would it be better to focus on good human behavior versus bad? And that's the aim. That is the aim. So at the end of the day, knock, Jimbo. At the end of the day, I think that's where we have to aim, because I don't see it ever being a case where it would be in this utopia world where it is only ever in every position in the Cayman Islands that all you have working is your natives. Wouldn't that be something? Oh my gosh, that every position filled in the Cayman Islands is only filled by Caymanians. Every position, and the need for a work permit does not exist. If that's where we're aiming, it's not going to happen overnight. And there's nothing wrong with having that aspiration or aspiring to get there. But there's a sense of responsibility. There's a sense of discipline from Caymanian employers and even Caymanian employees. There's a sense of responsibility from expatriate workers and expatriate employers, whether you want to call them paper-made Caymanians or not. There is respect, which goes back to what the real Michelle is saying. Would it not be better to focus on good human behavior versus bad? Yes, because until we get there, business will have to operate. Products and services will be needed, and you're going to need someone to render the service, just like you will have the customers. And even the customers, the guests at these tourists, you're going to have different culture clashes. You're going to have it. There's no difference in the workplace. It's the same thing with multi-nationalities working in. The cultures are going to have to be understood. What we do not want is anyone weaponizing their nationality. Be it Indian, be it Filipino, be it Jamaican, be it Caymanian. That is not necessary, because we realize that replacing every single foreigner is not going away from the Cayman Islands anytime soon. It was said, so not me, by the minister himself. Yes. So we need to figure out how we're going to coexist and maintain the quality of product that we sell here as Product Cayman, and loving thy neighbor as thyself. Because I am quite sure that for those who have been invited here legally to work for us, a Caymanian made that request. And they have chosen to remain because of exactly what we have to offer. But we both have responsibilities as natives and as foreign workers. And trust me, a lot of them, if life was better where they're coming from, they would not necessarily remain. If they didn't start their families here or may have fallen in love with a native, they would probably go back home. But at the end of the day, they're still contributing to our Cayman Islands. Keith says, Caymanians love. Caymanians, not just the money. Caymanians love Cayman, not just the money. Caymanians love Cayman, not just the money. Correct. And we have to do everything to protect that as well. But foreigners love Cayman, and foreigners love the money and the quality of life that we have here as well, Keith. So it's all striking a balance. But the key takeaway is we all have to coexist together. Denver says, it's too late to do what Bahamas did. Push the restart button. They have proved that, Vicky Joy says. Amen. Respect goes everywhere. It is the truth. It don't matter what culture you are, whether you bow, whether you shake, whether you do this or you whatever. Respect is due in whatever language. What we don't want is those nationalities weaponizing and making an environment toxic. That's what we're trying to eliminate, to eradicate. And my feeling is, in some cases, there are Caymanians working in some organizations that there could be a threat to a lot of persons because they show that they have broken the mold and the status quo that all Caymanians are lazy, which is a lie. That's a lie. But to tell you that some of us don't need to tie up our bootstraps, just like some of the expatriates, some of them, they're drunk. Some of them, they're calling sick. Some of them do all sorts of stuff behind the scenes and have this one cover for them, but yet the Caymanian gets called out. It happens in every workplace with every nationality. Okay? But at the end of the day, natives are a threat to someone who's on a work permit. Let me be very real. With the cost of work permits right now, as expressed by a lot of small business owners and medium-sized owners right now of running a business, work permit fees, pension and medical, you really feel that if employers could get rid of ever having to apply for work permits or pay PR fees annually because they could replace every work permit in their organization with either a permanent resident holder, a reliable person married to Caymanian, or a Caymanian. They wouldn't opt for that. Do you know how much money, how much thousands they would save if they bring the right attitude, aptitude, skill set, and can help them grow their business? Think about it. As a small business owner myself, I wouldn't want to apply for work permits if I could definitely have all persons that didn't require work permits in my organization. You know how much money you could save? This is a golden opportunity. But based on the numbers that Mr. Samamba actually shared that you weren't hearing, the 40-odd% based on the latest statistics giving out of Caymanians, 40-odd%, that included status holders. So technically, generational Caymanians is in the 20%. It just cannot, the math is not mathing to fill every position with a Caymanian or someone who is of Caymanian status to say that they all go away and we don't need foreign workers here. That is a lie. And anyone selling you that, it's a farce. But how we coexist, how we reside, how we deal with our own brothers and sisters as Caymanians, how we support Caymanian business, how we speak about each other, Caymanians, has a lot to do with even how some of the expatriates look at Cayman and Caymanians as well. Charity begins at home, and we need to support each other. We need to honestly show that togetherness more amongst ourselves. If you create that path, that gateway to say, well, they need us more than we need them. You don't understand. Their percentage is only 20-odd%, and half of them do show up for work. Really? Really? And then we join in the conversations. Yeah, that's how they are. Well, I tell you, my people, really? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? We need to change our narrative as well. But for those of you who are out there, any nationality, including my own Caymanians, who are thinking that you're going to weaponize and give a bad name to all Caymanians because there is an environment that we don't need foreign help, which is a lie, stop it, because you're going to be called out. And it will not end up in your favor. Humble yourself. Mend your bridges. And to all of my HR professionals, you need to really take stock of what's happening in your organization. Jim says, still, this is Cayman. Caymanians. You have the privilege of coming here, live here, work here. Then you respect it and be grateful for it without being used and abused. I totally agree with you. And this is why it's almost like being a ballerina or one of those persons who are doing the beams. It's not an easy conversation to have as a solo presenter because I have to look at it from both sides of the coin. Live Happy says, understanding of culture must apply both sides. Yes. And our culture must come first. I am in their country. I shut my mouth. If that was the case, of course. But when I'm in their country, I shut my mouth. Yeah, but not all the time that works. Live Happy. And when we are not even emboldened or proud of sometimes of our very own culture because we join in the sing song that Caymanians are bad people, and we're lazy and we're this and we're that, that's not helping either. But I agree with you. Understanding of culture must apply to both sides. And when the external cultures come in and try to speak ill of who we are, we have created that environment. And that is what we need to repair. And Jim says, as an expat, I'm appalled by the way many who come here act, respect the culture, the country, and communities. I agree. But as I said, Jim, the gap is only filled by what you want to fill it because your people have to stand and fill those gaps. And that's a reflection on every one of us. Denver says, and the Bahamas is way ahead of Cayman because we were afraid to take absolute control of foreign workers. We have sat back and allowed certain foreigners have too much to say in our government. Damien says the Cayman Islands is a melting pot for employers/employees from many nationalities. And without that collaboration, this might just shift to the wrong end of the scale. That's always the risk. Keith is saying, let's not be to Cayman kind to give away everything we got, because then Caymanians will be in a mess. Dean says the Caymanian addiction, foreign labor in brackets, a lot of Caymanians lack patriotism. That's the problem. Vicky Joy, every country needs other nationalities. Oh yeah, we know that. Yes, yes, yes. Tartarian says, the thing is, the same problem that they are running from is the same problem they bring here. I notice that when I look at their attitude, many forget humility when they come here. Tartarian, you know why? Because a lot of them are coming from an environment of highly competitiveness, survival of the fittest. And then we come here with good old mankind being so very nice. We roll out the red carpet, and that is taken advantage of when they're only here to survive. My fear is that as we see things different, changing, there's going to possibly harder times hit us, and the average Caymanian is not used to it. Whereas for some, that's why they're here, because they're coming from what we're seeing close to home, and a shift in a way in the standard and the quality of life that most Caymanians are not used to. The hardest life we've ever had possibly is recovering after Iva. That was the closest thing to sufferation. And some of us gain weight after that. But really and truly, Tartarian, it is the culture. You could be Caymanian, but if you were raised up in another jurisdiction, those things become the fundamental of the seed sowed in you and the environment that you grew up around. You cannot, even with that birth certificate or that acknowledgement of Caymanian status, change what's ingrained in you. You can do the comparison of someone who was born, raised here, left at a certain age. There are just certain principles and standards when they go off, let's say to college and university, that will always ring loud to where and the upbringing from where they came from. When you do the same comparison from someone born here, but took away as an early child, or born somewhere else, came back home, got whatever sorted out, and the only environment they're used to is where they raised up. It's day and night with even how they think, how they process, how they resolve conflicts. I will bet my last dollar, if you do your digging, you'd be surprised at the outcome. And this is why, at the end of the day, you have to look at it full circle. If Caymanians are lazy, what is causing the traffic jams? Who are those people? Interesting. Good for you, Tartarian. Yeah, it's true. Plain and straight. So true, Sabrina. I've had the unfortunate experience of dealing with a cutthroat Caymanian many times over the years. We cannot continue to run each other down or sell each other out. We're not going to get anywhere if we continue to do that. Jim says, Caymanians won't put up with a lot of these business owners, operators from other countries, and you can't blame them. And for that reason, many of these outside business owners, operators won't hire Caymanians. Again, it's a culture. It's a culture of the employment because they know we can stand up for a right. But again, I've had two scenarios that I have here today. One where the Caymanians is definitely being abused and bullied by the foreign nationals because they're trying to exert their leadership and aspiration to take over leadership. And then the other one is where the Caymanians actually being bullied. So it's two separate stories. And of course, all sides can be looked at as correct. Real Michelle say, it is my view that every country has a right and an obligation to preserve culture, which may reveal and valued by the curious and respectful. Keith, get to the point of this whole story. Cayman belongs to Caymanians. Thank you very much. There you go. Exactly. Segregation. Yep, Jim Norris. I miss old Cayman, but thankfully I have the memories. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure bringing you another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Stay tuned for more entertainment here on cmrtv.com. And definitely just a quick reminder for those of you, Bush and Bush Tea, hosted by the amazing Nikki Brown, is airing this evening at 8 o'clock. And you already know the stories are good. And the tea, oh my God, please go get a cup of hot tea. Don't miss it. Grab your cup and join Nikki Brown a little later for more here. Until tomorrow, love y'all lots. Thank you for your participation. I got to sort this stuff out. Until tomorrow evening, stay safe, take care, God bless.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, K-Man, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.